It's not good. It's really not good what's happening right now. I was actually kind of thinking maybe tomorrow of setting up my stream in like 240p and like destroying the sound on it just so you'll know what it will be like in a few months. Yeah, it's net neutrality is the rules might get repealed on December the 14th. My strategy is to email the other people on the FCC board that's going to vote on it. And then maybe email my congressman about it. Any EFF and ACLU probably are going to get donations from me in the near future. Apparently I didn't pick that up, but we'll learn it anyways. Yeah, so the reason it should worry the Europeans a bit is, yeah, all of the backbone for the internet is in the United States. It wasn't a year ago at this time that I was like, oh, finally, I don't have to worry about another round of emailing people about net neutrality. Like, last September-ish, I was like, yeah, you know, I won't have to worry about net neutrality for a while, because Hillary Clinton's going to get elected. There's no way. Donald Trump? Who's going to vote for Donald Trump? So yeah, here we are, over a year later from that fiasco, and the internet might not exist in a year. Who'd have thunk it? Yeah, it's for profit margins. That's exactly it. That's all it is. It's profit margins. Comcast wants more money, and they just want more money. I think, though, it might be pretty interesting to see what the EU does in response to this. Because maybe, who knows, maybe the EU is going to want their own DNS servers, want their own backbone, want their own, like, we want this part of the internet to be strictly EU and be in the EU. It's going to be an interesting, though frightening time. Provided, of course, they pass. See, no, don't kid about that. That might happen. See, that's one thing, Wilder, is you might see lobbying from Amazon, Netflix, Google. My plan for the emails and letters is to do one of the, hey, two Republicans in the FCC that might vote against this. Imagine if an ISP, a liberal ISP, banned Fox News. Oh, geez. This might be a death. That was just the poison killing me. Hey, or a digit. Yeah, I'm kind of wishing I were 65 right now. That'd solve all my poison problems. Gonna have to go buy more of them potions too. God, that's so much poison damage, Mylon. Calm your manticore tits. There's got to be a funny word for that. Manticore tits, like mantit cores. Yeah, there's been debates over that. Over whether or not the EU should have their own chunk of the internet as a backbone. And there's an argument against it. That argument only stands if the United States isn't being stupid. Because the EU is kind of famous for... I can't think of a better word for it. Shitting all over American companies. Specifically Microsoft. But, yeah, if something goes through the network of an ISP that is heavily saying, oh no, this is throttled, this is inaccessible because you're not paying, and someone in the EU wants to get access to that, they just won't be able to. So the good thing though is that even if this passes, which it's likely to do, like it's gonna be incredible if it doesn't. Like it'd be a 3-2 in a reverse direction if one of the two non-agit pie Republicans flips. But if it goes through, there are going to be lawsuits over it, which will hamper the implementation of the rules removal. Because you got to remember, the United States kind of has a convoluted system of checks and balances it has to go through to get things not only into law, but have that law stick. So, what might happen, not guaranteed to happen, is something like, say, 3-2 vote. 3-2 vote, FCC says net neutrality is gone. And then, like, the EFF or ACLU or someone, or even, like, Amazon and Google, they'll put forward lawsuits in the courts. And while those lawsuits are going, and maybe even some people from Congress will bring it up, those rules, to my knowledge, I might be wrong on this, aren't going to be enforceable yet. Or if they are, they won't be acted on yet because they'll still be in the court system, so it might not be worth it to actually follow through on it. And that could tie up the ruling for a while. Filibuster to vote all the hell. Well, you see, the thing is, it's not a congressional vote. It's the FCC voting on it. If it were a congressional vote, yeah, you could filibuster it all to hell. That's what's basically happening with the tax bill right now. Is there just aren't enough Republicans voting that will vote with that bill. So that's another thing, is if this happens, like say goodbye to startups. They're just all going overseas. It's also incredibly complicated because, okay, let's say, so Comcast and Time Warner, I believe they have something like a 40% share in Hulu. Let's say they get majority share in that company, and it basically becomes a Comcast Time Warner company. So Hulu would be in direct competition with Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. So let's say Comcast, through convoluted logic, says, we're not going to allow Netflix or Amazon on our networks anymore because we view it as a anti-competitive something. Like, they'll come up with some Orwellian-style nonsense to justify them banning Netflix and Amazon. So Amazon, though, is a massive server for not Amazon content. They have a whole CDN set up where they just help other sites with bandwidth by taking it on, because they can do that. So what would happen if Comcast just said, oh no, we're not going to allow Amazon anymore? That would mean Twitch is gone, Prime Video is gone, but like I think Twitter might be gone, Tumblr, because a lot of these sites essentially use Amazon as a pseudo backbone for their content delivery systems. And then if you have like, and even then, if you have a company that relies on a different CDN, what happens if Comcast is throttling the CDN but not the main site? Or reverse that. What happens if Comcast decides to throttle the main site but the CDN still works? Like, I don't think anyone involved in the anti-net neutrality debate quite understands the internet and how complicated it is right now. But there are free speech and freedom of the press concerns, and that could be a merit for going to the Supreme Court. Because if someone argues, hey, Comcast will be allowed to say any anti-Comcast site is gone or throttled, that would become a free speech concern. But also, yeah, that's pretty funny, Parthenox. But also, there's an economic concern. Because name me a business that doesn't rely on the internet now. In some way, shape, or form. What? Little local mom and pop bookstore? They're going to be around still. Who cares about them? If they even exist, because Amazon exists. So like, what's going to happen economically if net neutrality doesn't survive? You just see so many giant companies, small and big companies, just, go under because they can't support themselves anymore because they're relying on advertising or Google, or they were small time, or people like me who aren't like making a living off of this. They're growing, but all of a sudden they have no growth anymore and they lose their entire income. They lose the ability to have their fledgling small business style thing going. Like, losing net neutrality could potentially be an economic disaster. And that's on top of the 2 other economic disasters that have been brewing for a few years now. I apparently might have skipped Pine Barrens in normal. I don't know why these lore documents are still here. I should have picked them up. Unless you just went barreling through Pine Barrens and didn't bother to pick them up. It's a distinct possibility I just outright skipped it on accident. On normal. And that's 2 devotion shrines I could go back for. Is the Englishman you're talking about Bertram Russell Parthenox? Oh yeah, Comcast doesn't operate an internet company. Oh yeah, they're gonna do more work overseas. They're gonna do more business overseas. But like Google, Netflix, Amazon, if there's a throttling concern where you pay more to get more bandwidth, they can do that. Like, that's not a problem for them. It becomes a problem if like, say, Comcast, who owns a large portion of the markets for internet service provider, like, if they just outright say, no, we don't want Netflix anymore. And there's nothing you can do about it because it's, Netflix and Time Warner are your 2 choices for ISPs. Oh, by the way, we both won't allow Netflix or Amazon Video anymore because, we have Hulu and we want to make money off that. Tim Berners-Lee. Okay. I knew it was something like that. If Comcast Time Warner says, no, we're not going to allow that, period. No Netflix at all. Like, where are you going to go then? If your 2 options are Comcast, Time Warner. And Heliocop, it's like, there won't be U.S. markets. Yeah, or they'll do that. They'll hold it hostage. They'll say, hey, you want to access Netflix? Well, you got to pay us, $30 a month for Netflix. It's the Netflix convenience bundle. So yeah, it's a disaster. So what I'm also kind of hoping would happen would be like some crazy rich guy like Elon Musk or something is like, oh, these ISPs are holding the internet hostage now. I'm going to launch this satellite Wi-Fi network that anyone can access for free. That would be the dream. Mental alacrity again. Also, fuck Ajit Pai. Someone pies him in the face. So we can call him Ajit Pai in the face. Yeah, that'd be a way for companies to censor. Because yeah, if there's an anti-Comcast website, would Comcast allow that site to exist on their network and be accessible by their customers? What about sites like Reddit that have a heavy net neutrality support bend? Would Comcast allow Reddit? Would they allow Reddit at full speed? Would you have to pay to get to Reddit? See, what's funny is, like, the whole point of net neutrality, if there were ISP options in every area, I wouldn't actually care about the rules being in there. The whole point is, like, I believe right now I have a choice between two. It's like Comcast, Wide Open West. There might be one other in there I don't know about, like Time Warner or Cox or something. But it's like, if there were like 10 ISPs to choose from, yeah, it wouldn't be as much of an issue, because you go to the one that is not pulling this crap. But thanks to the way ISPs have been able to lobby state markets, there's like 2 per area. I'm actually kind of lucky because I am on Wide Open West. And back when Comcast was doing things like throttling BitTorrent and threatening to do more, switched to WoW, and it's like, they don't do that at all. They've never done that. So I'm wondering if, I might have one of the lucky companies that's not like that. Oh yeah, 2 per area if you're lucky, actually, because you can end up in a place where it's, no, you have to have 1. Like, my friends used to live in an apartment complex where they had to have Comcast. Because that was the complex's, oh hey, there's that door. That was the apartment complex's ISP. No, it's a duopoly. Technically, I believe the term oligopoly comes into play as well, which is a few options. Oh, and before you think, a regulatory body is going to enter into this and fix that situation. Nope. No way in hell that's happening right now, not with Republicans in charge. I meant to nullify myself. It's nice to have the door regardless. Like, there's no point to that door, is the problem for me. That landed on top of that wall. So, like, one of the arguments, like, against net neutrality is, you can just move to another ISP if your ISP starts threatening you. But there's no ISPs to move to. So, like, that's not a legitimate argument in this case. I actually want to see where that door leads real quick. I think it's a pointless door because you do just portal out and go back to town. Or go back to that location. Oh yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting, at least. Yeah, it's a long walk over here is the problem. Oh yeah, it's also a horrible placement down there because the door's right there. Yeah, that is a bad door. What are your ISPs to choose from, Fleur? Am I gonna get intensely jealous by you having options? Oh, we can slap that belt on, and we get our poison res up.